I had a member of the Republican caucus threaten my life, and you all and the Republican caucus rewarded him with one of the most prestigious committee assignments in this Congress. Don't tell me this is about consistency. Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes, and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology when my life was threatened. Thank you.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez blasted House Republicans for a resolution to remove Representative Ilham Omar of Minnesota from the Foreign Affairs Committee. Omar, a Muslim American who has been a critic of Israel and the Jewish lobby, to say the very least, and to put it kindly, was removed by Republicans for what lawmakers from both parties said were anti-Semitic remarks. Some made both sides this, saying how committee selections and deselections can be a lesson in partisan hackery, and others may say that's evidence of race and ethnicity having nothing to do with what happened to Omar. I'll get more into this later. But first, let's elaborate on what AOC was responding to in that opening clip. Representative Nicole Maliotakis, a New York Republican, said that the resolution to remove Omar was about consistency. Quote, "We should not have an individual with those views on the committee that is tasked with representing our country and our Congress to foreign nations," Maliotakis said. In 2021, Representative Paul Gosar, a Republican out of Arizona, shared an animation on Twitter that depicted him killing AOC, resulting in his being stripped of his committee assignments. Last month, Gosar was elevated to the Oversight and Accountability and Natural Resources Committees. That per NBC News. So, consistency? Sounds like a reward. AOC also mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican out of Georgia, who came under scrutiny during her first term in Congress for anti-Semitic remarks. Now, before I continue, in this video here, Marge said that the difference between Omar's remarks and her own is that what MTG said predates her own election. You know, when Greene claimed that the 2018 California wildfires were started by Jewish space lasers. And she has also suggested that school shootings in Newtown, Connecticut and Parkland, Florida were staged. Also, in a since-deleted video from 2019, Marge and her goons, I guess, hung out outside of AOC's locked office door, calling her crazy eyes and telling her through the office's mailbox slot to get rid of her diaper, while telling the office to open the door and come out. Don't forget the deleted video of MTG telling a small group of what appears to be insurrectionists that Nancy Pelosi was guilty of treason. Quote, "And by our law, representatives and senators can be kicked out and no longer serve in our government, and it's a crime punishable by death." Marge is currently on committees in spite of what she's done while in Congress. I mean, how did she get elected in the first place? Speaking of, George Santos had the nerve to say, quote, "I rise to congratulate my colleagues on voting to remove Representative Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee." This dude lies so much, he doesn't even support the stuff he says from the previous day. With all of that said, as AOC pointed out, you need only to look at how these United States use an in-group, out-group dynamic when othering American Muslims, Arabs, and Sikhs after 9/11 to see how this country really feels about Omar and Somali people overall. As for today, I'll let Charlie Kirk explain it.
Ilhan Omar is not exactly making a compelling case that the mass infusion of Somali immigrants are able to assimilate successfully into Western constitutional republic tradition in life. Not exactly. Ilhan Omar is the mascot for why we need to have an immigration moratorium in our country.
He based that whole opinion on one person, Ilhan Omar. Quick history lesson. Somalia, a relatively young nation, has a turbulent history. European nations controlled much of Africa in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, following an era of colonialist expansion on the continent, including a 15-year civil war and resulting famine that sent Somalis fleeing to other countries in the 1990s. Tens of thousands of Somalians eventually settled in and around Columbus. According to the Columbus Dispatch, this city has an estimated Somali population of 60,000 people, making it the second largest Somali population in the United States behind the Minneapolis area. My point is, this thing about assimilating successfully into Western constitutional republic tradition and life is said by people who don't see Omar as American or see Somalians as belonging here. Republican congresspeople might have an issue with what she has to say or has said about Israel, but their problem with her has always been that she's a person of color and Muslim. I can only hope that anti-Islam sentiment or statements will be met the same way. For Rebel HQ, I'm Jeff Wiggins. My architect knows Japanese. For more from the Young Turks, stay right here. If you haven't seen my video called Cop Instantly Regrets Confronting This TikToker, then you should watch it. Click that link in the description and the Jeff Wiggins hashtag for more of my content.